Day of the Dead. Sarah woke to suffocating silence and walls bleeding crimson light. Her reflection in the mirror showed translucent skin, milky white eyes, and teeth that had become jagged razors. The archaeological dig rushed back to her, the obsidian mirror hidden beneath centuries of Mexican jungle. Dr. Martinez laughing at the villagers' warnings about ancient Day of the Dead rituals gone wrong. The boundary weakens. Join us in the eternal dance. The whispers had started the moment she touched the artifact's surface. She dismissed them as exhaustion, but now, staring at her transformed reflection, she understood the terrible truth. She was dead, but still conscious, still trapped in this nightmarish existence. Through her apartment walls, she saw others like her. Mrs. Peterson from 3A floated past, her gray hair hanging in clumps around a decaying face. Tommy from downstairs drifted by, his fraternity, shirt stained with dark fluids. All of them smiled with the same predatory teeth, their eyes glowing with supernatural hunger. A woman materialized before her, achingly beautiful, yet terrible, with flowing dark hair and luminous skin that seemed to absorb light. She wore white. That could have been a wedding dress or burial shroud. "Welcome, sister," the woman said, her voice like wind through empty tombs. "You have given us what we needed. Your blood on the mirror completed our ancient ritual. Now the boundary between worlds is broken, and we can walk among the living once more." Sarah tried to speak, but managed only a whispered rasp. "What do you want?" The woman's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "What we have always wanted, to reclaim what was taken from us, to make the living pay for disturbing our eternal rest." She gestured toward the window. "Look outside, sister. See what your curiosity has wrought." Sarah drifted to the window, her legs no longer obeying normal physics. The sight below defied her worst nightmares. The dead were rising everywhere, pouring from Central Park's soil, emerging from hospitals and morgues, crawling from subway tunnels. They moved with terrible purpose toward the living. Cars crashed as drivers fled or were pulled from vehicles by skeletal hands. People screamed and ran, but walls meant nothing to the dead. Sarah watched the family's minivan surrounded by spectral figures who reached through metal and glass as if it were mist. The screams inside cut off abruptly. "This is wrong," Sarah whispered, finding her voice. "The Day of the Dead is about remembrance. About honoring those who have passed. Not this massacre." The woman laughed like breaking crystal. "You understand. So little. The rituals your people perform today are pale shadows of what they once were. We are the original spirits, trapped between worlds for 5 centuries after the Spanish destroyed our temples and murdered our priests. We have waited for someone foolish enough to complete what was interrupted so long ago." Sarah felt cold dread settling in her chest along with something else. A terrible gnawing hunger for life itself, for the warm pulse of blood and consciousness. "How many will die?" "All of them. Every living soul in this city, then the next, then the next. We will not stop until the balance is restored." But Sarah remembered something from the dig. They had created a replica of the mirror for the museum exhibition. If the original had opened this doorway between worlds, perhaps the copy could close it. She had to try. "We have to get to the museum," she told her reflection. "We have to try to undo what we've done." The journey through the city was like traveling through hell. The red light had infected everything, turning familiar streets into an alien landscape. The dead were everywhere, but Sarah found she could move faster than the mindless ones, perhaps because her consciousness allowed greater control over her supernatural abilities. The museum was under siege. The living had barricaded themselves inside, but walls meant nothing to the dead. Sarah flowed through the barriers like smoke, ascending to the pre-Columbian wing where the replica waited, but the woman in white materialized between her and the display case, her rage now fully visible. Her beautiful face had become a mask of fury, her flowing hair writhing like serpents. "You will not undo what has been done," she snarled. "We will not return to the void." "You don't have to," Sarah said, moving toward the case. "There are other ways to find peace. You've been trapped by your own anger for centuries. Let it go." Sarah reached the display case and found she could make it solid beneath her spectral touch. She shattered the glass with her fist and seized the replica mirror. The obsidian surface was cold, but she could feel potential power stirring within it. Other conscious dead began to gather. People who had died recently but retained their humanity. They formed a circle around Sarah, adding their will to hers. Woman in White lunged forward with supernatural speed. Her fingers elongated into claws that raked across Sarah's face. The pain was indescribable, a wound to the very essence of her being. If we cannot exist, then neither will you, Sarah felt to her consciousness beginning to fray, but then she remembered the villagers' original stories. The ancient ritual hadn't been about conquest or revenge. It had been about helping the dead find peace while celebrating life. She pressed her hands against the mirror's surface, focusing not on death and rage, but on the memories of the living, the museum visitors who had died defending each other, families huddled together showing courage even in the face of terror. The mirror began to glow with warm golden light. The hieroglyphs around its edge shifted and rearranged into new patterns. The woman in white screamed as the light touched her, but it wasn't pain, it was recognition. The mask of rage fell away, revealing the sorrow beneath. I remember, she whispered, tears like liquid starlight flowing down her cheeks. I was a mother. I died trying to protect my children from the conquistadors. The golden light spread outward, touching each ancient spirit in turn. One by one, they remembered their lives, their loves, their humanity. The rage that had sustained them faded into peaceful weariness. Throughout the city, the mindless dead stopped their rampage and collapsed as the supernatural fury driving them faded away. The angry red glow was replaced by dawn's gentle radiance. Sarah felt herself growing translucent as the mirror drew power from them all, using their combined spiritual energy to reset the balance between worlds. Thank you, the woman said as her form began to fade. You have given us what we truly needed, not revenge, but release. The ancient spirits dissolved into particles of golden light, absorbed by the mirror. Sarah felt her own earthly ties dissolving, but strangely she wasn't afraid. There was a sense of completion, of restoration. As her consciousness slipped away, she heard the sound of laughter, of children playing, of life continuing despite the darkness that had briefly consumed the city. The Day of the Dead was over. The living could mourn their losses and honor the memory of those who had sacrificed themselves to restore the balance. And somewhere between worlds, the spirits watched over them with love instead of hunger.